I will show you guys constants. So another variable art of a data storage solution. So we had variables, we have constants, then we have arrays and objects. So I open the browser again with the console log, and we did to declare a variable, we had the word var and then the name for the variable, right? So 1. And then with the equals to, we could assign stuff to it. And then we put some data in it. So then there is, with the latest JavaScript update, we have something that is a little less than a variable, but that's kind of the same trick, which is called a let. Okay. Written exactly the same way like variable, just using the word let. This is what's supposed to be used from now on for variables, but we're not there yet. So people are still using var for variables. Let is a little smaller, and you don't get these problems with getting it global. So you're overriding another variable by accident. So lets are a little more contained inside. Then I also talked that we're having constants, and constants are created with the word const. And then with the same naming convention, only constants are written with all capital letters. So like my const. And then you could assign something to it. Let's see here, 11. And constants are constant, so you shouldn't be able to change them anymore. So let's show you guys what happens if we do. So first, let's console log out our example here. So if I'm doing that, I get the 11. And then let's try to reassign something to a constant. Okay. And with that, we get immediately an error, and the whole script stops there. So we cannot reassign a value to a constant. Okay. So then that's the one for constant. So you guys see later with the clock example, we will use a little bit of that. So another big object is in programming languages are objects. And we already used an object. This was the date object. Remember, we stored it in a variable. So we created a variable that we called, I don't know, date. And we put a new date object in there, okay? With the word new, date, and the function, method. So with that, in our date variable, we have now the timestamp of that second stored there. So objects are used to store different sub-information of data into something bigger. So to create an object, we already did that one here. Let's create a new one, variable, let's call it course. Okay. And to create a new object, we say new and then the object name. So this time, let's call it object, just for our example. So, and with that, we would have created a new instance of our object and stored it in the course variable. I don't want to do that now. Let's do it. So object. Okay. And now we have it there. So now we could add other information into our object, or then retrieve information just with calling the variable. Okay, and then with the dot notation, I could give something else in there, like title. And then let's create a course title, web design. Okay, and now I have a value pair inside our course object, so that the name of the value is title and the value is web design. And I could then retrieve that too, and I can put other information in there too. Then, for example, if I want to retrieve that information, let's put first something else in here. Course instructor. Okay. Not yet, Felix. Why? Because I'm teaching. You can ask Desmo to help. Okay? Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, so now console log. Let's get our object. And there, see, I have the title and the instructor in there and the information with it. So I could now only get one of these elements out of there. And if I just go and ask for the title, for example, with a dot notation there, and then I only get the one information out of that object out. This is very nice if you have an object for a database, for example, where all the entries are always the same. So like if I have a database of my students, everyone would have a first name and the last name and maybe a grade, favorite color, whatever. And I just have to create one object, and then I have to use the structure of the object for every student. I just have to make a new copy of that object and fill it with the specific data for that person. So I can then reuse that over and over again. So, and in order to do that proper, you can create a constructor object that is basically empty and is like to make carbon copies of the object structure for yourself. So for that, let's create a new variable, course2. And that one, we want to have a new object, course, and off we go. But we don't have a course object so far. So let's build an object for that. So for that, we have to use the function. Okay, let me clear the whole view for you guys so you can see it from the top. Function. And then as the function name, I give the object name, course. And then between the parentheses, I can put requirements in there that I'm using later. So for example, in every object, I will have a title, an instructor, a level, and if the course is published or not so far, and how many students I have in that class. Okay. And with objects, with functions, we have the stuff that should do something is between curly brackets. So we put that there. And then we have to create the parts of that object now empty. So for that, we have to refer to itself inside without putting data in it. That will be in everyone. Teaching yoga. So, and this is done with a special word in JavaScript, which is this. And in that case, this refers to the current object that then will be copied into it. So this. And now we take the first element of the requirements we put in here. So let's say title. And the title of this object will be given as the first information in here, the title. So, okay. I know that looks kind of strange right now, but you're basically taking that part of the information and assigning it to the object you're creating. So we have to do that for every one of our information we're getting in here. So the next one is the instructor. So then the next one is the level. Then published. And then the students. And I also can do other things in here, like I can create functions that can be used inside the object. Like, for example, when we had the date object, to get the time, I could have said, oh, I just want to have the month or just the day or just the hour. I can create that here too. And here, for example, let's create a update for the students. So for every time I run the update student function, one student will be added to the student's number that we're putting in there. So for that, we create our function inside. And this one just returns one more than the student has at the moment. So return ++ students. Okay, and then we close our object. Okay, now we have created a carbon copy print from where we can create as many copies of the same object as we want. So let's put that to good use now. Let's create a new course variable. So var course 1, so for the first course, and let's create the copy of that object, course, and now we have to give our information in there. So the first is the title, let's say HTML. The second one was the instructor, let's give it my name. The next one was the level. Then if it's published or not, this one is true. And then how many students do we have? 11. Okay. And boom, I have created that new object with all the information in there. And I also can make a second copy of that one for a second class. Var course 2. New course. What we call the next one, Bootstrap. Then the instructor is still the same. The level is also the same. It's published is also true. And we also had 11 students. So now I had both objects created, and I could console log out for now. So retrieve the information from everyone, whatever we want. So let's try that. Console log. Let's get from the first one. Course 1. Let's want to have here the title. It helps if you can write. Okay. And the second one was written right. And cool. Okay. If you can't write proper, oh, this one is without the 0. Okay, and the second one here. Sorry for my typos.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if we make typos like that, do we have to retype everything we've done?
Where? Here in the console?
In JavaScript.
Oh no, you would just this is just here in the console because it goes back with every time step. If you just write it here in let me show you guys that here. Let's copy that one over. So we would have this, and if I have a typo here, I would just go here and redo that and then set it up. So because it will be just started the next time the script will run. So for me to rewrite the same stuff here again is only in the console because it does not go back really.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So if you just write the script, you just change whatever error you made. You don't have to compile it again or something. You just have to refresh the page, for example, after you saved it.
I see. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So that's fun, right? I know you guys have no place to kind of get used of that, so no use case for that so far, but I wanted to have you guys see it at least, that if you read through someone else's code, you see, oh, that's an object, and you know that you have to handle it a little different. So you can also create objects within arrays, because an array is just a variable that can hold any kind of information. And in order to get information back out of an object, you can use the dot notation, like the one I used here with the course due dot title. There is also the possibility of use a bracket notation. So course 2, for example, and then I have the square bracket, and then I have within quotes, I have to put whatever element I want to have out of here. So for example, the title, and then finish that, and I'm getting the same information out of here. Usually I'm using the dot notation, but sometimes you have to have the other notation going, or vice versa in some special cases. And if it's not working, you should try to use the other one. I have no special case now that I could pull up my sleeve to tell you when it is used better to use this one, or when it's used better used to the other one. Okay, so object makes sense, or is there something unclear? I know it's kind of advanced, a little more advanced topic. Everyone's cool. Cool. Let's create a little example for something that we could basically use. So let's create a little JavaScript that you could use later to get information. You could just use it and paste it into the console log, and then you get a nice log out there where you can have your mathematics done for you. So let's create something that calculates M's, so CSS M font sizes for you out of a pixel based base value. You know, like usually websites are based on 14, 16, or 18 pixel font sizes. And if you want to have it bigger and smaller to have it kind of have the same steps size up and size down, you can let the computer calculate the value of the M's for you that you have to put in. So for that, let's call it, and this one will be the EMS calculator for you guys, okay? So for that, let's create a function who does the calculation for us. So function, and let's call it give me M's. Okay, and all we have to put in there is a pixel size. Okay, let's call it pixel, and then let's write our code. First, let's create a variable with a base value for pixels, base value, and let's put that to 16. So it's kind of the newest standard for the pixel size. And then in there, let's create a small, not a function that does the mathematics for us. So function, do the math. Okay. And in there, we just have to return the result of our little pixel divided by the base value calculation. So return pixel, pixels, pixel, divided by base value. Okay. And then when this calculation is done, we just want to return the do the math result. Okay. And then I always told you we create our variables here in the beginning. So let's create a variable for the, let's call it the small size. And that one is give me ems. And let's say that small size should be somewhere 12 pixel. Okay. Then let's create the next one that will be medium size. And that one give me ems, and this one should be around 18 pixels. Then the next one for the large size. Let's give them 24 pixels. And the next one for the extra large size. Let's write that. Give me ems. 32 pixels. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have our sizes that we want to achieve kind of in the end. And then here with the pixels inside, we then will put the value of this here in here and calculate us how much ems that will be. So, and in order to see it proper, in our case, just console log it out. Okay, and make it a little more readable. Small size. And then the result of the small size. And the same for medium, large, and extra large. Okay. Everyone that far? Everyone good? So does everybody understand what this function does for us? No. Okay, so we're having this function, and here with our variable, we are basically calling this function and then putting the result in here. So we're calling this function, and here that 12 will then be put in here where the pixel is. And then our base value is whatever you have on your website set as base value. It's usually around 16. So now we're having the pixel value, which is in that case here the 12, and the 16 in here. Then here we do the mathematics, where we say the 12 pixel divided by the baseline is whatever result. And we're putting that back out here and storing it in this variable. And then here we're calling this variable and putting it then on the screen for us to see. So did everyone finish writing that little JavaScript part here? Okay, now let's put it to the test in our script on the console. And I'm putting it in here. And whenever I run it, I see that I'm not seeing anything. So where is the issue here? Okay. Maybe in that case, I have to move that one down here. So I have to have the variable for the function first, because I'm calling it already. Let's try it again. No, I'm getting the same result. Pixel base value. Why are you not returning? Does this? Typos. So you have to not only call the function, you have to make it run too with these two brackets. Why do I have that wrong here? So, okay. So here we see our output. The small size would be 0.75 ems. The medium size would be 1.125 ems. The large size would be 1.5 ems. And the extra large size would be 2 ems for us. So if you have to have a specific sizes and are limited to only use ems, for example, you could make this little calculation to get the ems for you calculated that you have to put in your CSS. Cool. Is it running for everyone? Yes? No?
Yeah, but my Dreamweaver is just a little slow.
Okay.
It works, but it's a tad slow.
Okay. So the important one here is what I forgot earlier is if you call a function just by the name without the two brackets, it will not run the function. It just will print out basically what is in the function. So if you want to have the function run when you call it, you have to use these brackets. So whenever you're in need to have emps calculated for you, and you know the base value, and you know in which pixel size you want to have it output, this little snippet of code will do it for you. Okay. So it is just an example for you guys to get used to work with variables, functions, and then print information out of them. So the really important thing we are doing with JavaScript is DOM manipulation. So DOM was for document object model, and we can go and manipulate stuff with it. So I showed it the last time. Let's put that one so I can, yeah. So the last time I showed you guys the node tree. So like we have two object models in the browser. The one is the browser object model, which we could access too, but this is more for programmer side. And we have the document object model, which is also here on the right side in Dreamweaver. Sorry, if you see DOM, the document object model, here we see our hierarchy too. So I have the HTML file, we have the head, the body. In the body, I have a section, a heading 1, some diffs with classes, and so on. So I have this here. This is just a graphic representation of that. So we have actually before the document, we have the browser window. Then we have the document. Then in our HTML document, we have a head and a body. And in the head, I have different meta tags or title, links, and so on. And in the body, I have my header section, my main content, my footer section. In the header section, for example, I have a navigation. And the navigation links are within an unordered list, and list inside list items. And inside there, I have anchor text. And I can target all of them individually. And if I, for example, target the list item here, then my child element would be the anchor tag that's inside, and my parent element would be the unordered list. So one step up or one step down. So I told you guys we have the window from the browser. So if I make that a little smaller, so the whole browser window would be the window, but JavaScript only lives inside the browser, so I don't have to declare that specifically. So I just have to say document if I'm calling for something in my document. Do I have something special? And of course, the browser comes with its own method I can target and so on. But first here, there is some JavaScript that I can use to manipulate some stuff too. So for example, if I want to open a new browser tab, I could do that with JavaScript as well. It will be just window and then open, the open method. And if I do that, see, I created a new browser tab. So I could even do that with JavaScript. So let me open one file here. Yeah, the test page. And I just open it up directly in the browser with the command O up here. Command O for open, and then the test page. So here I just have a little navigation bar, 6 cards, an image, and the footer, just for us to play around a little bit. So, and I can now pick certain elements in my file and try to manipulate them. So first I have to select something. So I can select elements in an HTML file a couple of different ways. So the first way, if I know the ID of an element, so I could say document get element by ID, and then within brackets and quotes, I have to write the ID I'm looking for. Now for our, here just as an example, some ID. And with that, I would have looked through our HTML, and wherever the sum ID is located, that element would be picked. Okay, we don't have a sum ID on there, that's why it's not showing anything. So the other thing, I could use something by its class name. So document get element by class name, and then I would write the class name in here. Okay. Oh, we even have one in there. Okay, and if I even know less than that, or I know that I only used one tag one time on that page, I could use the document get elements by get elements by tag name. Okay. And then I would write the tag in there. Unordered list, for example. And then I have the unordered list in there as an output. So if you're looking for a specific ID on your website, you would use the first one, the get an element by its ID name. If you want to have something targeted by its class name, you go there and look for the class name or by the tag name. And for a more specific nitpicking, you had to use jQuery before, but with the last update of JavaScript, we got 2 new ways to look for elements in our page. So the first one is document query selector. Okay. And oops. And in there, I could just write whatever I'm looking for on the page. For example, if I looked for a specific class, I would say dot, I don't know, call something, okay? Something with column. I don't have something on there. row we would probably have row. Okay, so I would have selected the div with a class of row. Or if I want to be more specific than that, I could go for something with a class of row, or this time let's go here for a tag of unordered list, and inside there we look for a list item, and inside there we look for an anchor tag. So I could even write it this way. If I'm only looking for one thing or the first of something, I use the query selector. If I want to have the whole list of elements there, I use the document query selector all method. And in there, I can be as specific as before. Let's say UL, LIA, and then here. And here you see, I'm not only getting the first one, I'm getting all of them returned back to me. So. Cool. Stop me if I'm going too fast. Everyone has these 5 methods to nitpick stuff on the website. Everyone good with these 5?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, we start using these soon. So, okay, so now that we know how to look for something in our HTML with JavaScript, we can try to change something, right? So, for example, the main title here, that one has a class of main title. Okay, let's look for that one. So document query selector, because we know it's only one. We'll look for a class of main title. Okay, so we even get that highlighted. That's fine. Okay, so we now know that we have the right element here, select, when we put it in. Let's get then a little more specific. Let's say we want to have the inner HTML of that element, inner HTML, and that gives us back just the text that's inside of, okay, let's go here. I have here the heading 1 who has the class of main title. If I say inner HTML, I'm getting the thing inside that HTML element back. Okay, so here it's just the word main title. If I do the same than before, but I say outer HTML, I'm getting the whole heading 1 tag, the classes, and the text and the closing heading 1 tag out of there. So I'm getting the whole element. Okay. And then with the first one, where I'm just getting the text, for example, I could then start putting something else in there, right? In HTML. And to put something in there, it works the same like with variables. I use the assign operator and put the new string inside there. So let's put, what should we write there? Our new title. Okay. And when I hit return, our title got the word our new title. Working.
I made a few typos, but
Yeah, me
it
too.
looks okay.
As long as it works in the end. So everybody salsa. Okay. So that's how we put new stuff into elements that are already on the page. It's cool, right? I can also change IDs, for example. So let's go to the document, use our query selector. And what are we looking for? We want to look for an ID. So it's the hashtag like in CSS. I think I have a what ID there. Yeah, I have a what ID somewhere. In the footer, yeah, cool. Okay. And then I could put a new ID on there with the ID method, so .id. And then let's assign a new ID there, BG color. And with that, the CSS I created earlier for that. So I created an ID with background color, but I never applied it on the page. So what we did here is we went in our HTML document, looked for wherever that ID what is, and just put another ID there that's called background color, so BG color. And in the CSS, the BG color made it with a maroon red background. And if we look at our HTML, where's our footer here? So our footer here has now the ID of BG color, see? Working. Okay. So then what's with classes, right? We're usually using classes for style stuff. So we can also use the same way. So document, query selector, and then look for something that has the class of content. Yeah, div content container. Where is that one? Here. That's the whole thing here. Okay. So And then I could give myself the class names that are there. So class name is the function. And with that, we're getting the two classes that are applied to the element with the class of content. So we see that there's a second class applied to that one. So we get both names back. Within a string, if we want to have it given back to us as an array, I would use the same here, but not the class list, class name. I would use a class list. Okay, now I'm getting it back as an array with two entries there. Okay, it depends on what I'm doing later with it, how I want to have the information back. I can even, now that I know that there are two, and the first one is the content, which we already know, and the second one is the container class, I could even say, like with everything in the array, if we want to just target a specific position in the array, we use the square brackets, and then let's say we just want to have the second one, which we have to put the number 1 in and get it back. And now we get the other class back to us. Everyone cool?
All good.
Okay. So far I'm only showing you how to select stuff and get information out of there. So we're not doing too much with it. I think I showed you guys the last time the documentation where you get all the methods and everything explained if you ever are in need of information. HTTPS Mozilla developer, so developer.mozilla.org US doc web JavaScript references. Is where we get all the stuff whenever you're in need of knowing which information you have to put in something, or what function or method you have to use to get information out of there, and so on. This is all here in the JavaScript reference from Mozilla, which is the guys from Firefox, and they do a really good job with that one. Okay. So back to our little example here. So far we only have selected different classes, right? What if I want to add or remove or do something else with it? So now we are here with the footer more. Let's select the footer element again. So document, query selector, and we target the class of footer. Okay. So our footer has also a class of footer. And then as before, I can have a class list. And then I get all the classes there applied to the footer. So we have the background dark, then we have py5, text light, and the footer the class. So if I want to add something, for example, I use exactly the same that we did before, where we get the class list and then just add something to the class list. So add, and then we have to say what we want to add, right? So let's do padding left of 5. Okay, so now we're adding the class of padding left of 5. And when I hit enter, everything has more padding to the left. So the whole footer gets moved to the right. And if we go back to our class list, we see that we now also have here the padding left 5 class. That work? Okay. So let's say we want to remove a class from somewhere. It's the same than before, but instead of add, we use remove. And of course, we have to tell JavaScript what we want to remove. Let's get the text light class. And with that, we get our light text removed. So then we can check if a class already exists in somewhere. So document query selector. And then let's go for our footer again. And we also look for the button. Okay. And we see where the button is, and we see that we have, of course, I didn't specify it enough. We're looking for the class list, and then we want to see if a specific class is in that element, and we're checking that one with contains. Okay. And then we have to specify what we're looking for, the class of btn, for example. And we're getting back true. That means in our button here, we have the class of button. And one other very nice thing is if I want to toggle something with a button, for example, I can toggle and add a class to something else that then has a different CSS styling for that one. And then if I click the button the second time, I remove the class again. So that is done with toggle. In order to toggle something, so we can go document query, query selector. We go for our footer button. Okay, and then we want to have the class list again. And then we want to toggle, and we want to toggle btn primary. Okay, so whenever I run that line of JavaScript, the primary color gets removed or added. So the first time, of course, we need the quotes here too. So the first time I do it, I remove the button primary class, and the second time I do it, I add it again. I can do that on and off as often as I want. Now we're doing it by hand. We can then later write a script for every time something happens to that button that something gets toggled on and off somewhere. Okay. Everyone good? We can do the same to attributes. So let's go for an element, document, query selector. What we have, definitely we have an image somewhere, yeah. And then we can look if it has a specific, or if it has attributes at all. So has attribute. Does it have an attribute? Yeah. Okay. Query selector image. Okay, that should work. Don't know why. We can also so that should give us a true or false if an element has an attribute or not. We could also look if something, which attribute it has. So document, query, selector. Okay, and then we could say get attribute. Also, wow. Why? I have to look that up why this is not working anymore. So with get attribute, we should get whatever attribute it has. And then also tells you can set attributes with the set attribute method, where you have them put two informations in there, which is the name and the value for the attribute. Or with remove attribute, you could remove an attribute. Okay, let's see what I did wrong here. So let's look at our image here. So we have the image is within a figure, and it has an alt attribute, which says it's a chapel in Austria. And let's take our alt attribute text here and add as a caption, image caption at the bottom of the image with JavaScript. So whenever, for example, if you have a website where random images are loaded from the internet with alt text and put out there, you can then choose to take the alt text and put it in as a fig caption. So let's do that little example. So let's create the constant for that. Constant. And I don't know, call it image. And in there, we store the location of our image inside the HTML. So document, query selector, and we're looking for the class of navbar brand. Oh, okay. Navbar brand, that's here. Okay. And then let's console out what we have. Console log image dot attributes. Okay, that's how we did it. Okay, so here within within the navbar brand class element, we're looking for the attributes that we have. We have a class attribute, an href attribute, and that's it. So now I could say something to change elements. For example, we don't have a target attribute to our anchor text in there. Let's create some logic for that with an if statement. So if whatever we're having in there inside our image constant has an attribute, okay, and then we have to say which attribute. We go for the target attribute, and just to check first in our, what are we checking for? The navbar brand header navbar. So here in our navbar brand, we don't have a target attribute, for example. So when someone clicks here, it does not open a new browser window. So in here, we're checking now if in a navbar brand, the link that we're having has a target attribute. So, and if it has, we just want to console log out whatever the target is. So for that, console log image get attribute target and show it to us what it is. Okay. But if it's not, so else, we want to have the attribute set to whatever it is in the navbar brand location. So image set attribute target and to underscore blank. If you guys remember, that's with the target of blank is how you make a link open a new browser tab. Okay. So now we can look for the attributes, and we see that our navbar brand now also have a target attribute that we didn't have before. And if we look here in the browser, we see we have a target of blank here now too. So something like this you would use if you get HTML from somewhere else and you're not sure if they did set a target attribute to external links or not. So you could run that little script somewhere to, if not set, you just want to set the target of blank. So that the new browser tab is opened when someone stumbles over it. Did that work for everyone? Ah, you guys are getting quiet again.
When it gets, difficult like this, we all have to use all the brain power we can. It's 8 o'clock at night. We have only a little bit left.
Yeah, we only have like 2 things left, and then we would be done with first day's class.
Oh gosh. Bootstrap was nice and refreshing for a while. Did all the busy guest thinking work for you.
Yeah, but someone else did the working for you. So so far we're only playing around with it. So within the next class, which hopefully we start in a few minutes, we then have the watch, the clock that we are animating with JavaScript. So there is some thinking running in. So far, you only see different methods that do different stuff with different elements on the website. Okay, so if that's kind of running for everyone, let's go back to what I tried to do first. We use the image alt tag and put it as caption down here, okay? So for DOM, for adding elements to our document object model, we have to create that element, but then it's just in the storage somewhere. It's not on the website. So then I have to put a text or text notes or something inside that element that I created. And then I have to put that element onto the website. So for that, we need 3 different steps and methods. And this will be showcased by our little example here. Okay, so we have the image, which is in a figure tag and has some alternative text there. So first, let's go and put the location of the image into our into a constant, and then also sorry, and then also the class it's sitting in. So first we're going for, where is it? Here now. So first we're going here for the whole figure tag with the class of shrine image. And then we're going for the image itself. So with that, let's create the constants for that. So const, let's call the first shrine. And in order to get the position is document query selector. And we're looking for the element with the class of shrine image. Shrine image. Okay. And then let's create the second one. Well, you know, guys, let's write it here in Dreamweaver so you have it a little bigger and you can save it easier. And then let's copy the code over into our little experimental website here. Okay. So first was the constant of shrine document query selector shrine image. Okay, and then the second constant for the image itself, the image document query selector. See, it gets repetitive after a while. And there we want to have the image. So with that, we would know the two locations in our HTML document. And now let's create the variables that we need for our thing. The first variable is I have to get to the image and look for the alt tag and get the text out of that and put that into a variable. So let's create a variable, alt text, and then go into our the image. So into our constant, the image, because we already know the image is there. So the image. And from there, we want to get the attribute, get attribute. And we want to have the alt attribute out of there. So our alt text is now stored in the variable alt text. Stop me if I'm losing you. Okay, so then let's create the element, the fig caption element that's not on the website so far. So let's put it also in a variable so we can use that. Caption element. And we create that element in the document. So document, create element. And then, of course, we have to say what element we want to create. So this is fig caption. Okay. So far, when we would run the script right now, we have the element created. And it lives in the browser, but not in our HTML element so far. So it is just living in the browser somewhere in a storage space, like in a drawer under your table, but it's not displayed. So, and then let's take the alt text and create the text out of the alt text into the text for the caption element. Okay, so we went to the image and got the information of the alt text. So the whole wording I had in the alt attribute and stored that into the alt text variable. Now we're using the text that's in the alt text variable and create a text node in JavaScript. Okay, then the text lives somewhere in the browser and the element lives somewhere in the browser. And then we have to put both together. And then we say, throw it into our HTML element at that location. So far we're now creating the second text. Put that also in a variable because that's what they're for. And let's call that one caption text, because we want to put the caption text in there. And we're creating something in the document again. So document, create, and this time we are creating a text node. So we're not creating an element, we're creating text. And things inside elements are called nodes. So that's where that comes from, okay? So we don't need this. In here, we put whatever we have stored in the alt text variable. Okay, so we're taking this here, taking the alternative, storing it, the alt text, storing it here, and now putting it in here and storing everything in here. Okay. Now I have created all that I have to create, but it's still only living somewhere in the browser memory. So now I have to basically merge them two together. So caption element. And now to the element, we're appending the text caption variable. So append child. This is the caption text. Okay. With that, we have merged them together. Okay. And now we have to tell it to throw it on our website, right? So for that, and we know this is the not fixed caption, this is the figure where we want to append the whole thing on, the fig caption. So we have that one stored already, so we can use it. So shrine. And there we are appending something, so append child. And there we want to append the caption element. Okay. And now we could also remove the alternative text from the image because we have the fig caption under it. So we do that. So the image where the alternative were, let's do set attribute. Okay. And the alternative text, and we want to set it to an empty string. Okay. Let me know when everyone has it. Okay, so just to test our little script, instead of saving it, putting it into another website and then refreshing the website, I just copy it and go here into the console and paste it in and run my little script. So with that, oh, okay, because I cleared it already before. You know, constants cannot be overridden, so that's why it's not working. So, and with that, suddenly I have the alternative text here as a thick caption. And if we go into our HTML, we see that we have the thick caption here and that the alternative attribute is empty here. And if that image would be put there by a different script, the alt text would be updated with the new image and so on and so on. So you don't have to take care in future of changing images with changing the thick caption text. Did that work? Yes. For all of you.
Yeah, I think I got it.
That sounded very promising. Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Okay. Okay, so here it's the bigger font. I'll type here a little more for you guys. So some other things for CSS. I can get CSS, I can apply CSS, and I can toggle CSS classes on and off. But I also can put CSS inline elements with JavaScript on there. This is sometimes maybe still done, but the best way is to write a CSS class with the styles you want to have, and then just apply or remove or toggle the class on with JavaScript, so that you're not writing styles into your HTML after it's created. That would drive a front-end developer crazy later if he has to, you know, if the boss comes and says, oh, we want to have the background of the navigation bar changed to, I don't know, purple, and it's not in the CSS, it's somewhere later in the script deep down buried, where some style changes are made in JavaScript after all the other stuff is done. Till you find that one later in a big project, it costs you hours of reading HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code, which is not fun. Okay, but just that you know, have seen it, and this is how it would look like. So we know we can go with document, okay, and then with the query selector, and then let's say I'll go for the navbar brand again. And then if I have an inline style element somewhere with style, and I send that one into the browser, I would get all the inline styles back out to me, okay? With that, I also can set different CSS elements as inline elements, like, for example, if I want to set a style for the font, I would say color, and then if I want to change it, I would say blue, for example. Okay, so go to document, select the navbar brand element, apply a style, which is color, and the color is equal to blue. Or if it's something that is 2 words in CSS, like background color, which we have in CSS is separated by a hyphen. In JavaScript, it would be camel case, so like background color, but not color, background color. So background, and then the first letter of color is big, and so it would say the background color. I could also write more than one CSS style at once, and I don't want to write all of that here again. I would do that with style and then CSS text. And then there I could say, for example, heading 1M, 1M, color blue, and so on and so on. Okay. I could do that, but best practice, do everything with CSS classes and toggle it on and off, or whatever you do with removing or adding the class. Okay. Just that you know, it can be done like this too. Everyone good? Okay, then let's have a quick 5-minute break, and then we start the second day.
All right.
Okay. Back?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So let's go back to Dreamweaver. And under the folder day 2, open the index file. Okay. That should open something like I have here on my screen. So here we have 3 files. It's the HTML, then I have a style sheet for it, and a JavaScript link. I put the links all already in there. You would see the JavaScript one is pretty empty. Instead, sorry, I only gave you the 3 constants for the hour hand, the minute hand, and the second hand. And then I wrote some CSS already to style it a little bit. The whole background where the clock sits in, then the clock. This look a little different here with fill and stroke width. That's because all of our elements here are SVGs, and I have to target the SVG element itself. So that's why it's a little different. So for example, our second arm here is black. For me in Austria, when I grew up, these clocks on the train stations always had a red second hand, for example. If I want to change that, I would go here to the class of second arm, and then under stroke, and I would write the color red, or in hexadecimal FF00, 0000. Then I have the red second hand. Okay. And then here some 2 elements which we're playing then later a little bit with it. For the HTML, the title is it's a digital analog clock. And there is the CSS file and the script file linked. And in here you see that these SVGs have all the hour ones here, the circle around, and the arms in here. And I just gave the the arms different IDs and the face a different ID in case you want to repaint them with different colors or play around with it, okay? Then let's dive into our JavaScript. Okay, so our minute, second, and hour hands are not doing anything. So we have to create variables where we're storing the information in there where on the clock the arm should be, right? So that's how a watch works. The arms are rotating, so I have to give sooner or later my clock the information where every arm should go. So for that, let's create variables, or in this case, let's be more modern, use lets. So let's create a let for the hour position. So HR position. Okay, and just put a value in there. Let's put 20, for example. Okay, then let's put another one for the minute position. Let's put 130 in there. And then, of course, we need also one for the second position. Just some values. Okay. So now still nothing is happening. I have to give this information, which is stored in here, back to our hands, right? So let's do that manually this time. So our hand. Okay, and then let's do what I told you earlier you shouldn't do. So we use the style, and then we put the transform on there. So we are transforming the element. Transform. Okay. And then we have to tell what CSS we want to have in the transform. We want to rotate. And then, because we stop our string here to put the JavaScript value in here, we have to finish the quote, then use the plus sign to not mathematically add something, but in JavaScript. So we add the HR position. And then DEG for degrees. And that's how we write the CSS here with JavaScript values injected. And then the same for the minute and the second hand. So minute hand, style, transform, rotate, min position, second hand, Everyone done? Okay. Okay, let's save that one and preview it in the browser. Ooh, it's working. So, and we have a time. Oh, actually, we have a clock that works twice a day. So, to whatever value we put in there, the arms rotated to that position, right? That should work now for everyone.
Not for me, but I just have a bunch of typos.
Yeah, that's not good. Typos are our enemies. So let's try to get it right here from the start so we have a good starting position. And as you now may have seen, these three values we put in here with the position are degrees. As when they're put in here, they are degrees. So 20 degrees, 130 degrees, and 267 degrees that the arm then rotates to whatever place it is. Give me an okay when it's working for everyone.
I just got a little messed up from line 9 to 11 at the end of each line, where the parentheses and the quotes are, kind of mix match them.
Yeah, it's not good. So, well, so it should all look.
Can you show the preview again?
Here. See if I reload. It's not working anymore, but if I preview it here again. Yes, save them. See? With my values I put in there, I get the 3 positions for the arms. So let's get a little smaller. So we see both at the same time.
For me, it's working, but I think the index file itself doesn't have the second hand.
So if you go, it should be black for you. I just changed it to red here in the CSS. Under here in the CSS under line 49. So this is red and you had it as black, like this. I just like the red better. So you have absolutely no second arm or just a black one?
Let me try change the color and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, I do have a second arm.
Good. So, working for everyone? After you sort out the typos?
Yeah, I got it going.
Okay. So the other one, Meredith, right? Who had the typos.
Yeah, I'm still having issues, but I think it's more of a computer problem because one of my hands rotates and then I switch something around and now none of them do. So I think it's just me. I'm sure it works.
You have a typo somewhere under style here, or transform, or rotate. That you have a space here or something. Or
Yep, it's the space. Yes. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right, but I have the problem with my second hand. It's not moving.
So the second hand.
Yeah, I checked everything and it should be alright because I just copy pasted and changed the text.
Okay. You don't have a space in here or a space in here
Nope.
or here or here.
Nope.
Let me see quick. Where's that one here? Okay. Let me see quick.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I did allow the share screen. Yeah. Okay.
For the error, it says max connection attempts reached.
Where? Oh. How did you do that? Max attempts reached.
Yeah, I just clicked on the little cross thingy, you know, to show the error. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it literally says ESL int terminated with error. Max connection attempts reached.
You want to show me the file?
All right, but I have to switch to.
Oh, okay. You want to just send me an image or something?
Yeah, I will screenshot and send you an email.
Okay. Let's have a quick look on that one. Because we're not doing something with a server connection. It's a good starting point then for tomorrow.
I just send you the email.
Okay. Because by now we have a watch that works twice a day for a second. Okay, there it is. For the minute one, you have minute position. in the rotate?
I saw it. Yes.
Okay. And then I didn't see anything else. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was the problem. Apparently, I'm just blind. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, no, that fixed it when I deleted
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I'm-
No problem. Okay. By now, it's a pretty boring watch because to update the time, we would have to add here the elements, right? It's like if I want to have a different time, I would have to manually update the watch every time. So that's not fun. For that, we should use the thing we did in the beginning of the first class, the date object, right? So between the LEDs and the hour hand. So for me, it's line 8, but I'll give myself a little more space here. I create another variable and I call it date and put the date object in here. New date. Okay. So with that, I get the computer date and time object and store it in a variable. But as we have seen before on the first class, this is pretty messy and we don't want to have that really like this in here in the position and then creating that one that would mess up everything completely. So for that, let's create another set of variables or lets. Okay, so let hour for the hour. Okay, and then use the date variable that we created, so date, and just get the hours out of there. So get hours, and then for the minutes, date get minutes, that's yes. And the same for the seconds. Okay. So with my new line number 9, I went to the computer and got the date that's set in the system. And then I split the whole date object up into 3 variables. The one that holds the value for the hour, the one that holds the value for the minutes, and the other one that holds the value for the seconds. Okay. Everyone good with that? Okay. So, and now let's put our 3 position variables below the last minute and second that we created here. So first we go and get the date, then we put it in our hour, minute, and second variable, and then we use that and save it in the position. So And in order to get that here, we have to do a little bit of mathematics. Because what we're getting here is the hour. For the moment, it would be, for example, 8 o'clock. But 8 o'clock is not the position of the degrees in a circle for 8 o'clock. And we need the degrees here. So we need here whatever we have now in the hour position. So in the hour variable, okay, hour. And then multiply it with 360, which is the degrees for the circle. And then divide it by 12 for the hours that are possible on the watch. So, okay. Does everybody understand what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're taking the actual hour and putting the value into degrees of a circle. Okay. And now we have to do the same for the minutes. So we take the minutes once and then multiply it by 360. And we have to divide it by 60 possible minutes per hour. And then the same for the second. Seconds, multiply by 360 degrees divided by 60 seconds in a minute. So if I preview that, it's pretty cool and working so far. It's not updating itself, but it at least shows the right time. In that second, we're loading it. Working for everyone?
Yeah.
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 No?
No, I'm good. Yeah, good.
What now? Yes or no?
Yes, it's
Okay.
good.
Okay. So, but as you see here, we are close to 9 o'clock, but the hour arm, for example, is still on 8 o'clock. So as soon as the minute one hits 9, that one jumps to here. So the whole big step. It is like the old watch clocks where the arm just slams down to the next position. The little more modern clocks are even moving the other arms within the hour or within the minute a little bit to the next position. So we can fancy up our little code here in line 11, 12, and 13, or actually 11 and 12, to do that too. Let's do that. Okay, so the second position always jumps to the next second position, so we don't have to worry about that. For the minute position, so now it gets a little for me to not get crazy. Let's put the whole thing we're having here in some brackets. So this is to calculate the real time. And then we have to add, for every second the second arm moves forward, we have to move the minute arm a tiny bit forward too, right? So for that here, let's open new brackets. We have to get the amount of the second arm and multiply it with the 360 divided by 60. 360 divided by 60. But then we only want to have a 60th part of that. So divided by 60. That makes sense to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Woo-hoo. There goes the programmers. Okay. So for every second, the second arm goes forward, the minute arm goes a 60th of a minute forward. So, and then we have to do the same for the hour. So we put the hour into the brackets, and then we have to add the values of the minute arm, right? So minute. Okay. Multiply with 360 for the full circle, divided through 60 for the minute, divided through 12 for the part of the hour. And now we see that the minute or the hour arm, for example, is not bang straight on the 9. It's a little bit after 9 already, and so on and so on. Is that working?
Yeah, it works. That's pretty cool.
Woo! See, programming is fun. So, and let's stop with that for today. And then on Wednesday, I torture you guys more.
Programming is fun when it works, right?
Yes.
And it works now, so it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good end. You always have to end on a high note. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Then till Wednesday.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Professor.
Right.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.